So we are looking at all of your vehicle telemetry. Same thing, your lateral G's, your longitudinal G's, your position on track, your accelerometer data, gyroscope.
Green flag.
Welcome to the Blind Apex Podcast, where amateur club racers tune in to get faster.
This episode is brought to you by DeechWorks Fuel Systems. Use Apex 10 at DeechWorks.com to get 10% off fueling your passion. If you want to help the podcast, or any podcast for that matter, share it with friends. It's the best way to do it. That's all we ask for. But on this episode, we're going to talk about AI in motorsports. And since all I know about AI is what the news tells me and that it's going to take my job one day, I have two guests. They're entrepreneurial, motorsports-oriented innovators, from what I could see. From my limited stalking, they're both cool with Hondas and Miatas, and Time Attack and Wheel to Wheel. David and Daniel of FireLaps, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so I probably reached out to half a dozen companies that were doing some sort of AI in motorsports, some of them advertising for F1, some of them advertising that they were working with NASCAR teams, some folks in development of products, and you guys. And, you guys answered the mail first, which I appreciate, so thank you. There's others that are out there, so we may talk about this again, and we'll see. Maybe we'll get a forum together, but I don't want it to devolve like sometimes happens when you get a group of people together. Well, where did your motorsports journey and the FireLaps journey sort of start and come together?
So this is David speaking, and so I've been in motorsports for nearly 20 years now, and I got started just like probably many of your listeners, which is, hey, I like going fast. I want to do a track day, and I want to get on track. I want to push my car to the limits, and I just started, dipping a toe into the water like that and dabbling with that. And I had an Integra that I tracked a whole bunch for a bunch of years. That had a V18 type power swap in it, and then eventually had a K20 in it, and a K24, and then I started doing Time Attack in this car. And I really got deep into motorsports when I started my first company, which is K-Power Industries, and we do Honda K-Series engine swaps in a bunch of different rear-wheel drive platforms. So maybe you're familiar with K-Power, but we've been around since 2013, 2014, so now over a decade. And so that's really where my background came from. And, you talked about, your podcast is about helping the driver improve and then improving the car. And so K-Power is very much about improving the car and making more power. And, there was a lot of thought in my head about, what else does the market want and what is kind of lacking here in the market. And a lot of that, I think, comes in the form of accessible driver coaching and really helping drivers improve in a logical way, and giving drivers good direction for that. And that's really where the wheels started turning. And I contacted Daniel, my brother, and our other business partner, Jeff, and said, hey, guys, I have an idea about a platform that would be able to make driver data more accessible to your average grassroots driver and use AI to analyze data and provide insights on that data. And Daniel's background is in AI and machine learning, and he can touch on his background a bit here in a sec. But it was kind of like the right people in place at the right time to actually start doing something and putting something together. And that was about 3.5 years ago. And now here we are with FireLaps.com. It's the world's only driver development platform out there. Yeah, we're really excited about it. I think there's a bunch of exciting stuff to come. But that's kind of the background of where I came from in, how I came to be in motorsports, and then how FireLaps came out of that.
So, Daniel, how did you let your brother talk you into this?
He asks himself that probably every week, by the way. So good.
No, it's been good. It's been an adventure for sure. Yeah. So my experience in motorsports through most of my life it has been more indirect and personal through David. So like David mentioned, he's my brother, and so as he was getting involved with motorsports, I would sometimes go to track days at Gingerman with the family. I would see the car that he is working on, all that. And it would always for me be like, oh, this type of thing is cool. I can see the appeal, and I can especially see the appeal with how passionate he was about it. But before starting FireLaps, I haven't had much direct experience. But like David mentioned, I do have a lot of experience in AI and machine learning. So I'm a computer scientist. I studied this type of thing. I've been doing AI and machine learning for about 9 years now, and I've been coding for longer. And before co-founding FireLaps, I was at a national lab that had 15,000 employees. So going from that to a company of where the number of employees you can count on one hand has been quite the shift. But it's definitely been a really fun experience, and there's been a lot of learning along the way. There's been a lot of trying new and different things. But my passion has always been, can we make a computer program that can use data to uncover a story and to make decisions and find insights that I otherwise couldn't. And so that's what I was doing in my old job, and that's what I'd love to be doing now with FireLaps.
Your old job and my current job probably crossed paths a couple times. I think the fancy title they gave me was data scientist with the government. So
that's one of the titles that has floated around.
Yeah, one of many. So awesome. Since you're the pro, can you define AI for us?
That's a very good question, and one that would probably, no matter what I say, might get me in hot water with some experts. But kind of the working definition that I use is that AI is where you have a computer algorithm that assists or completes tasks that would traditionally require a human. So like the big up and coming, or I guess it's been established now for a few years, the AI task of language modeling up until the advent of these big language models. Language modeling was mostly reserved for humans, and if you wanted to translate text from one language to another, you had to employ a human. Whereas now, with a lot of data, we are finding ways to, in certain cases, make algorithms that outperform humans or perform on par with humans. And in some applications, they don't perform as good as humans, but even then, they still assist in whatever task is being accomplished. So AI, I don't see it. The end goal is necessarily to replace the human, but it's to assist the human and help along that journey of understanding and making actions in some world, in some action space that can be beneficial.
Yeah, and I'll throw my 2 cents in. And it's able to wrestle with data sets that are much larger than the average human can deal with, right? It doesn't matter what avenue that it's in. Its biggest bonus is that it massages a million lines of data faster than a human will massage that same million lines, right? And so
exactly.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and then the strength there is that it can uncover patterns that a human wouldn't spot, or they're so subtle. But if you have so many examples of what you're looking for, then you can then you can make actions based off that. But yeah, go on.
So, David, when you decided to go down this path or put your team together and take this joint journey down this path, were there professionals already using AI in motorsports that you were looking at?
No, there really weren't. I'm sure somebody somewhere is or was.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if you think about it, I mean, when we first discussed launching FireLaps, it was really the conversations were really happening at the end of 2021. And I look back at like our literature even early on. I mean, we were spelling out the words artificial intelligence on things because AI was not the lingo yet. And so, if you look at how much has shifted in the last, 3-4 years around AI, and it's mind blowing. And so I think that we really identified that this was a time to market thing where, it was like this thought of like, why doesn't this exist? Why is no one using this? We have all of this motorsports data. And like Daniel said, I don't care how good of a driver coach you are, we don't replace the human element, but we can pour through data, thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of laps in a way that no human will ever be able to with any sort of reasonable time frame. And so, it just seemed like this big opening in the market, and we hadn't heard of any of that. We just really heard from drivers saying, hey, I have this AIM Solo, and I don't know how to use Race Studio, and I don't know how to look at this data and find insights from it. And that's really what started the making the wheels turn, which is like, hey, I feel like 9 out of 10 guys that own data systems of any sort in the paddock aren't using them. How can we help them? And AI is a tool in the toolbox that we wanted to leverage to really be able to do that.
So I can tell you from the conversations that I've had offline, I have some contacts that got me in touch with a couple of NASCAR crew chiefs and then a junior F1 engineer. They've been using it for about 5 or 6 years on both of those sides. And really, it's hyper strategy that they're using it for. They wanted to know all the variables. They want to be able to go. NASCAR guys are like, oh, lap 57, we now have a yellow. Let me forecast the rest of the race, right? And one of the junior engineers, that I did talk to, said that his team has data going back to Senna. Now, in Senna's day, it was tire temps and pressures and some very basic analog data, but they had it in a certain pattern and they plugged it into a computer and they just started snowballing. And like I was talking before, the AI has allowed them to now think about what your AIM can do for you. How many serial ports and how many sensors you could possibly collect data on, but how are you supposed to digest that as a human, right?
Yep.
And on the F1 scale, it's even crazier. And they have to make their own parts. So they're using AI to help them with production procedures and things to smooth things out with carbon and how they need to build some certain things, engineer some certain things. But how close will the grassroots guys, do you think, get to the kind of professional AI that's out there right now?
So it sounds like we're talking about AI being used by race teams. I think we're using it in a bit of a different way. If you watch F1 and you see all of the guys in the garage that are all looking at looking at data. I mean, you've got dozens of people involved with that. And so what we really try to do is like we're trying to get drivers. We're never going to get somebody 100% of the way there just with our platform alone, but we're trying to give them like a massive leg up. Maybe we can get them 80 or 90% or something with simply using FireLaps.com to analyze their driving data, their telemetry. And so that's like, we're trying to like pick up like all the low hanging fruit of like, oh, you're not even really looking at data. We're going to help you big time with that. And so I think there's like a lot of different ways you could use AI on a race team, like you said, manufacturing parts. I mean, that makes perfect sense. But we're trying to carve out our niche that is targeted towards your average club racer like you or like me, and giving them a huge leg up from that. So I don't know if that really answers your question, but that's kind of what our aim is here.
Yeah. So, okay. So I have a separate question, mostly because it's my go-to because I'm lazy and I can't deal with the infrastructure required for some data stuff. But would either of you consider what the Garmin Catalyst provides as rudimentary AI?
In some ways, Daniel, you could maybe speak to that. I mean, I will say this before Daniel jumps in. Daniel and I are friends with the gentleman who pioneered the Garmin Catalyst. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've ever talked to Adam before, but a great guy. And it is a great little self-contained product that will look at your laps of your session, and it will piece together how you could have driven your best lap that session, and it will show you some opportunities of how to do that. So what it's very, very good at is showing you how to be consistent, and consistency is super important. The big difference between FireLaps and the Garmin Catalyst or anything else similar is that we are looking at all of the data globally, not just your session. And we can draw parity between your laps and another comparable driver and car's laps. And we can start making suggestions that fall outside of like what you just did that session. So the Garmin I look at as a very good beginner intermediate tool. I know it will help people find time. I think a lot of people like it because of the camera. I think that's a great feature, something we don't have at this point. But from a driver coaching standpoint, what we offer is leaps and bounds past that really is good for a first-time driver up to really even a pro-level driver is going to find value from FireLaps. So that's kind of the difference. We are a software company at the core. Mm-hmm. We offer our own hardware called the FireLink to do automatic uploads to our platform, whereas the Catalyst is really its own little contained piece of hardware with the software on there, just designed to, give you some tips and obviously do video as well. So it's kind of the two pretty different products and platforms.
And Daniel, what's your opinion on the Garmin as far as its AI capability or thought of as being AI?
Yeah, and I think that it's really tough because we can't pull back the curtain and see what's under the hood of the Garmin. Right. But just from the user standpoint and the features, it would probably fit under kind of at least my perception of it would fit under more of a traditional AI definition. But like David said, I'm not sure to what extent they are using the vast pool of data that's accessible. Because the Garmin is kind of designed to be an ecosystem, kind of a closed ecosystem where you can learn from yourself. But that's about it. And so what FireLaps would let you do is then access all this pool of data and use that and find some similar cars to what you drive, pair your laps with similar weather and all that, and you use that all to kind of collect and give recommendations. So I think it's probably AI, but whether it's machine learning or not, which is kind of a subfield of AI, I'm not quite sure. I would lean towards no.
Okay. Yeah, at a rudimentary level, I would agree that it's sort of AI, right? It's doing the analysis for you. It's doing a basic coaching job by giving you 3 things to look at, but it's only looking at you and it's not taking the global perspective. Have you guys heard of Trophy AI? Trophy with an I?
Yes, for sim racing.
Yeah, so they actually have applied it to the track, but they're working on applying their sim product to the track. So I thought that was interesting. I think my biggest concern with that overall is in a real race car, just like the Garmin can coach you and then Trophy AI can coach you. I'm not going to hear it. I don't know any race car driver that's going to be able to hear it, even with foam fitted stuff. So
yeah, if you're looking for coaching in car coaching, we're certainly not trying to do that.
Mhm.
It's something people have asked us about. We are all after session analysis. Really, your workflow with FireLaps, especially if you're using a FireLink, is you have a FireLink installed in your car. It's wired to switch 12 volts. So you get in your car, you start your car, it's going to lock on to GPS and to 4G, and then you will go out and drive. It's in the background. You can act as though it's not there. And by the time you are back in the paddock after your session or your race, and you go to firelaps.com, you have insights available to you. So it will prompt you to finish your uploads, just select, what vehicle you're in and so on. And then you'll be able to pull up all of those laps. You'll be able to overlay them, and then it will start analyzing everything through our intelligent lap coach and giving you insights that are going to, you look at a track map in Google Maps and you see a drive line around the track, and there will be points of interest that pop up, and you can click, and it will, say things like brake less here, turn in earlier here. I'll give you a full analysis on it, show you a new drive line, show you a new speed trace graph if needed, and then give you, this may save you 0.2 seconds. And that's kind of your flow. So, but it's all afterwards. But the nice thing is, most people don't really have the time at the track to dig into data in any sort of depth.
Mhm.
If they are using, an AIM or a VBox or whatever they're using. And so the nice thing about FireLaps is it's very quick. And so the feedback we've got from drivers is it's the difference between looking at data between sessions or between races, or like maybe looking at it on Tuesday when you're sitting back at your computer at home or at work. And it's because of that nice, clean after session analysis that we are able to give you.
Yeah, so I think there's 2 realms that I think AI in amateur motorsports needs to do, and it's exactly what we try to do on this podcast. I think with enough kinematics and enough scanning of cars and input of data, it would require massive amounts. You could probably get AI to start helping you do car setup, but that's a hard route. And I think the easier route, especially with the way you guys are able to crowdsource the data with FireLaps, and you guys are you can use multiple sets of data, right? I can upload AIM data. I can upload other sorts of data, right? And you're able to find those common threads of data usage and then overlay them all, is really the driver aid, right? The driver aid is going to be the most important anyway. Seat time is king. We all know that. For whatever reason, I like to spend my money on my car, probably more than entering events, because I hate buying tires. I think that's my biggest issue. But yeah, improving yourself as a driver is the most important. So you talked a little bit about the FireLink, right? I'm going to derail the podcast already because my brain I'm staring at my MyLaps, or not my MyLaps, My Races Live camera in the corner over here. And it runs on a 5G card also. Does your unit do Wi-Fi?
So it can connect to Wi-Fi as well.
Okay.
You can connect if you, for some reason, cannot get the 4G signal. You can connect to a Wi-Fi network to upload the laps. You also can do Bluetooth to your phone and upload the laps. Generally, though, it's really not something that people need to do. The devices do have an offline mode, so if you don't have a good wireless connection, it will still gather all your data, and then as soon as it regains connection for a sec, it'll upload everything.
I'm just trying to save on how many SIM cards I'm bringing to the track at one time. But
yeah, well, our devices have a SIM card in them. It's staying in there. There's no real way to take it out unless you really, destroy things. And yeah, but once it's in there, you're good, and you don't have to think about it.
Well, so their camera will also operate off of Wi-Fi. So if your unit displayed it as Wi-Fi, I still only need one card. So
fair.
Just trying to consolidate data programs and stuff for people. But okay, so let's talk about what you need to do when you don't have the FireLink.
Sure. Yeah. So FireLaps is, we really try to differentiate ourselves. Like, what is FireLaps? What are we not? FireLaps is not another data logger in the mix of data loggers. The market has plenty of those. FireLaps, the platform, the driver development platform, is compatible with AIM sports data, Apex Pro, Racebox, VBox, what else, Daniel? The race capture, yeah. The Tesla track mode files, so on and so on. So all the file types are listed on the site. And in order to analyze any of these files with FireLaps, all you need to do is just drag and drop those files onto the upload page, and that's it. And then it's as though it was captured with the FireLink. It's the same, 10 hertz GPS data that we're capturing. So it's as easy as that. And we have lots of users that like to do that. We also have a nice little Windows-based program called Spark that connects directly to all the Wi-Fi capable AIM devices. So like my son go-karts, he has an AIM Micron on his go-kart. Actually, both my kids go-kart now. And we were just at the track on Saturday, and he went out on track, and I opened the Spark program, and I was able to just connect to his AIM and pull his laps right in and analyze them with him. So that's, a workflow that you can use as well. I have an AIM PDM in my race car, and I also run a FireLink, obviously, and I just find that I am just using the FireLink out of convenience because it uploads everything automatically. So I don't have to go find a USB cable or go, pull files off of one software, and then upload to, another server. So, but you totally can. And for the first, 2 years of FireLaps, that's what everybody was doing. And then the feedback we got from people was, hey, it would be cool if we didn't have to do this every time. And that's when the FireLink was born. And the FireLink also has the ability to live stream your data as well. So that's the other element to the product, is that not only can you, easily have your laps uploaded, but like, for example, we this year we sponsored the new GridLife GT class. We're the official data partner of GLGT. And what we're doing is we're providing live data on their live broadcast. And so that's like a really exciting element that can be done with this that you just can't do with, an AIM or whatever device you have. So not to say there's not a place for those other devices. I think I own 6 different AIM products in various cars and carts and things. But the FireLink has a unique place in the market to give you that automatic upload.
Yeah. So I'll be honest, in my life, I like to keep my data sets separate. And so the way the AIM is designed, really, it seems like it is. The way it was expanded to, maybe not originally. It was a VMIN G meter, right? And then they decided you could plug anything into it. But generally, it can babysit the car really well, right? I'm having issues with this corner. Let me go look and see what the car's doing. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, I'm getting a breakup at high RPMs. Let me see what the car is doing, right? That has nothing to do with you. Okay. But it takes work. It takes more work than I like. But if I had a Fire Link, I'd be happy because it's almost, let's just call it almost like the Garmin. It's not quite self-contained. You have to have a laptop around. Okay, I get it. Or a phone, right? You have a phone app. Okay.
Yep.
I have a phone. My phone goes everywhere with me except for hopefully not on vacation, right? But look it up on the phone and just use the phone. Now, it doesn't have the video part integrated, which is that'd be my request, but baby steps for you guys. You guys have done a lot already. So, I run the Garmin for 2 reasons. It's easy, and my race group requires a camera, forward-facing camera. It meets those needs, okay? But I want to go deeper, and I need help doing that, right? So, your stuff looks pretty good. My next question, I don't know who wants to answer it, or how much you want to devolve the information, but what are you guys? What's the basic stuff you guys are looking at? Because you're crossing things from all those things that you talked about, all those systems, the Apex Pro, the AIM stuff, all these things, even your own Firelink. Are we looking at just G and V-Min? Or what else can be incorporated? Can we customize it?
So we are looking at all of your vehicle telemetry. Same thing, your lateral Gs, your longitudinal Gs, your position on track, your accelerometer data, gyroscope, right? Daniel, what else? Does that cover it?
Yeah, so we are collecting that. Actually, all of our coaching right now is strictly based off the GPS data, the position, the speed. I think actually at FireLaps will work with just those 3 channels.
Okay.
And time as well, the timestamps. You can gain more with some other channels, but those are the main ones.
Okay.
There's also a lot of noise in the GPS data that we have to correct. And again, like, that's kind of where a lot of the crowdsourcing and the algorithms have to come in, to be able to, like, if you've analyzed your aim data, you might see like certain spikes in your speed, or certain data loggers I've seen have issues where the timestamps kind of lag behind the times that things that actually happen. And so we can find those issues and correct them, so we can still and analyze them at least as best as possible. If it's too corrupted, then well, you will know that once you pull it up in FireLaps or your program of choice.
Yeah, we clean up a lot of data. A lot of it comes in sloppier than you would think.
Oh,
or
no.
just the entire the track just shifted over however many feet. That's something that the AIM devices do quite a bit. I remember Daniel spending a lot of time just correcting the GPS shift that we'd run into, because you look at it and it would look like you were not on the racetrack, and you in fact were on the racetrack. So that's a big one. I will just add, and it's something I'm not going to go into in depth yet, but it's a question that we are getting constantly. But yes, we have plans to integrate vehicle CAN data into our platform. That is a big shortcoming of a lot of other stuff on the market. And, we are looking to, what we have now is incredibly valuable and useful as a tool, but to be able to add your throttle position, your RPM, your brake pressure, wheel slip, et cetera, is really, really valuable, and we acknowledge that. So we have plans to do that. I'm not going to talk about details or timeline or anything, but I just think it's important for any listeners that are asking that question sitting there at home. The answer is yes. That's something we're aware of, and we're aware there's value there, and we're aware that's something that even our fellow club racers want. It's not just a pro level thing. So it will happen. It will just be a matter of time and details to be shared. But we have things in the works.
So here's another left field ball, because you're crowdsourcing, and how often do you come across a brake pressure sensor?
We're not looking at it super specifically on because we're not using that. Mm-hmm. But like I can tell you that cars like we do at K-Power, we do a bunch of stuff with the BRZ and FRS, and those cars just come with it. So they have that. So if I look in my Heltec NSP software, I can see brake pressure in real time, and we can set things up. You could set auto blip downshifts, for example, with brake pressure. It only works with a certain amount of pressure. I believe it's the BRZ I'm thinking of. It's either that or the NC. I think it's the BRZ though. So that is something that is valuable, and these standalone ECUs have that information. If it's a car that comes with it, like a steering angle sensor, brake pressure, like a lot of these cars just have it. So if you're putting, for example, you're putting a Heltec ECU in a BRZ, if we were to connect, let's just say, that ECU to the FireLink, you would have that data, and you wouldn't have to have gone out of your way to install those sensors.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
yep.
I deleted my my clock spring in my steering angle because, it just complicates my car. Honda really messed up my car, or I messed it up. I don't know. It worked for 4 years, and now it doesn't work anymore, and I didn't do anything. So
it's because it's a race car. I don't know what you're expecting. After three or 4 years, just get ready for the dumbest things to stop working.
Yeah, well, it's throwing an ABS fault. No code comes up, but it has an ABS fault that somehow trips me into a really weird limp mode that doesn't do anything. I mean, it doesn't let the car idle. So every shift, if I'm not fast enough, it kills it, and then it pops the clutch on me. It's great.
Wow.
Makes life really...
Wow, sounds like you have a race car. That's what it sounds like, a race car right there.
Yeah. But
that's ridiculous.
Yeah. So I'm just... That's an interesting... Those three data sets are pretty important. They should be the first three data sets that everybody starts looking at. Your AI, I'm assuming, if you give it more data, it will give you more input. Is that what I'm hearing?
The more laps you upload at a given track yourself, the more value you're going to get for it. And then collectively, as we get into hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands, whatever, of laps at a given track, it's, you're going to get better and better data from that. But I can tell you, like, if you go drive a session less than 4 laps, the intelligent lap coach will tell you, go drive at least 4 laps to get some insights from this. And then if you go do a 20 lap race, you're going to have a lot more to look at after that. So yeah, I would say that's true.
Okay. So what else do you think sets FireLaps apart from other things that are out there?
I think it is everything else out there, maybe the exception of the Garmin, in a more basic sense, but everything else out there will record your data. I don't care what it is. You can record it. You can look at it in some way, whether you need to go get a USB cable or you look at it on your phone, but it will record it, and then you can go and look at it, and you can derive whatever insights out of that you see fit. The big difference with FireLaps is we are a driver development platform. We are not just a data logger in a portal to view your data. So we are constantly learning from your data, providing you actionable insights from your data. And that's the big difference. We don't look at ourselves as a competitor to some of these other products out there. We look at FireLaps as being complementary to anybody who owns an AIM or a race box or whatever. But our specialty is we are going to help you go faster based on that data by just giving you an analysis that you as a human can't necessarily do. And it's certainly not do it any sort of a short amount of time. So I would say that is really what differentiates us. I don't know, hope that answers your question. I don't know, Daniel, if you have anything to add there.
Yeah, and I think what I would add is probably just the ease at which it all does that. So like with the intelligent lap coach with FireLaps, if it identifies an area of improvement, it's going to give you, yes, it will give you a driving line, it will give you speeds that you can try and hit, but it will also give you a few paragraphs explaining exactly what you have to do. Here's how you have to approach the turn and entry. And along with the paragraphs, it'll say, exactly which part of the turn it's talking about, and it will point all of this out. So you just don't have to go and dig through your data. You're not just reading squiggly lines. We do have a graph, but normally if you're there just to get your top insights about your session, you don't have to touch a graph. You don't have to even do much math. Just read these notes and of course then go and do it. And that's the tough part.
And look at the
But
visual.
this can at least point you in the right direction. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you're like me, look, if I'm trying to find a couple of tenths or a half a second or whatever it is, I'm not going to sit here and analyze all 13 turns. I'm going to say, where are my one or two biggest areas to improve? And that's what I want to know. So I can go out on track and I can go find that time. And that's what FireLaps does really well. It's like you can look and say, okay, I've got, it looks like entry of turn 8. I am over slowing the car. I can turn in with a little more angle, a little, earlier, whatever, carry some more speed. Looks like I need to trail brake a bit here, and then I can go do it. And it's like, it's kind of uncanny how often I'll hear drivers say, it told me I could save 3/10 here, and I went and I did it, and I saved 3/10 here. And that's, I think, just something that no other product is going to do for you.
Yeah. I don't think you will find it, but I personally, I don't know. I like that it's crowdsourcing some of this data because as far as my data input into my Garmin, I've sort of hit the wall, right? My Garmin says I'm usually like a 10th off of optimal.
Yeah, it's never going to tell you to do something you haven't already done in the car.
Right. So
that's why you feel like you hit that wall, because you've gotten very, very consistent. And we have a consistency score in FireLaps, and when you get into those high 95+% consistency score, it's still going to give you advice. It's still going to give you suggestions.
Right.
So that's what you need.
Well, that's great because Garmin gives you your variance score, and I'm usually way under 1%. I'm usually in the 0.1 something percent or lower variance. It's the weirdest stuff, and I don't understand where I can't find more time because I'm doing it in traffic because I'm mixed class racing, right? So you would think that there are some areas I'm being held up and some areas I'm doing so much better that there's got to be more than like a 10th out there, but seems like I hit a wall. So,
well, shameless plug, give us a try, and seriously, shoot me an email. Let me know, hey, this is what I found. I was able to get past that threshold and get some insights, because that's the kind of stuff we like to hear. And I think, I'm confident we'll help you, and help your listeners. But yeah, we like those real world stories for sure. So let me know.
Yeah, awesome. I thought I had another question. Now I forgot it. So, is there anything else that we need to talk about with AI and racing in general, and then how FireLaps can apply to us?
I'll just add that something we haven't touched on is, we've talked about the AI coaching element of the platform, but a really, really valuable part of our platform is also the social element.
Mhm.
We have groups and events on the platform, and we make it easy to share and overlay your data with your friends. And if you're like me, I am not a professional driver, and I am out there to have good, fun, clean racing with friends and people I enjoy being with. And so I am all for that collaboration and say, hey, we're both running a 127, but like let's overlay our laps because maybe you're making up the time in one place and I'm making it up in another. And so often that's what you see. And so what's cool about FireLaps is you can have somebody with an AIM, a FireLink, an Apex Pro, whatever it is, and then you can make a group and you can just call it, racing buddies, whatever you want. And then you guys can share your laps there every time you do an upload. And then you can overlay it with each other and learn from each other. And so there's just that layer of it. And then we also have some coaches that like using FireLaps because they can have a coaching group and they can have their students just upload laps and they can look at it and analyze it, even if they're not even at the track with them. They can give them insights and they can compare they can put like model laps into the group and then people can overlay with those. So there's just like this level of comparison that you just can't have when everyone is in their own isolated little world on their own device. You will just never have that. There's just no other way to do it unless you have a cloud-based platform that everybody can dump all the data into. So I just think that is just like a huge, huge element of this that adds a ton of value. And to me, is one of my favorite parts of it. I just think it's fun, and I always learn when I'm sharing with other people. So I think that's worth pointing out.
It's really interesting because you'll get to share data with someone with a very similar track condition, right? So you can look at weather, you can look at temperature, you can do all that stuff when it goes through your algorithm, right? And try to provide some sort of suggestions. But I race at a track that at a certain temperature, she's gone. There's no fast laps left, not even close, right? The whole field slows down 3 seconds, okay? But you cool it off 5 degrees and you're cooking, right? You're going to set that fast lap. So to be able to compare with other folks that are at the track at a similar time, maybe they're in a different race group, maybe they're in the same race group, I think is important. You did mention it and it reminded me, but Daniel, I have a question for you. Do you think you'll ever be able to write it so that Scott Robertson has to close Robertson Racing?
We like no.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think it's great that it's a coach platform also, that the coaches use it, because this will get us to a certain point and then everyone has a different personality, right? I'm going to need somebody to smack me around. No matter what the things tells me, I need somebody to convince me I need to do it, because I have a hard time forcing myself to do it. So there's always going to be an area for those coaches, I think. But
there is, and we're very conscious of we don't want to have this dynamic where coaches feel threatened by our platform. We want it to be a tool in their tool belt, and so far that's the feedback we've gotten. And I can just tell you too that I used to do a lot of right seat instruction. I haven't in quite a while now, except if it's just for a friend or something. But I was instructing a friend at Autobahn a couple months ago, and I could have looked at his data all day long, but until I got in the car with him, I was like, buddy, what? You're shuffle steering all over the steering wheel like crazy. This is you're not gonna be able to improve if you are moving your hands all over the place, especially in a Miata with such a quick steering rack. You should be like this. And, you don't need to be doing this. And I had to keep we just were in the car with the, the intercom and just talking. I'm like, hey, no, keep him here. And he's like, oh, that does feel better. Okay, that's better. And so like that's the type of thing, whether you're doing that in the right seat or you're looking at video or whatever it is, you're just not going to, you're never going to replace that human element. I think there's, I think the human element that perhaps FireLaps does in part replace is the data analyst that like has to sit there and go through your data for you and tell you things. Because I've been at the track and I've been there with some teams where they have a guy who's just there to pull all the aim data off all the cars and sit there with the driver and say, okay, here's what you're doing here. You need to do this. Like that type of thing, can be, I wouldn't say eliminated, but like this is going to just give you a lot of those insights instantaneously without needing to actually have staff there at the track. But the human driver coach is a valuable addition to your driver development program that FireLaps doesn't just replace in full. Plus, Scott's a friend of mine, so I keep him employed. We like Scott and Becky.
Yeah,
so.
We do too. So, all right. I don't have anything else, but I do have a segment. Daniel, I don't know if you're going to have one of these, but maybe you do because you've been hanging around. Maybe you've heard one that you think's funny. But what is your favorite racer excuse that you've heard or used?
Interesting. For for why performance on track wasn't quite.
Why they're slow.
Why are you slow?
That's FireLaps. So as someone who's not a racer myself, I am mindful that I don't want to be the backseat coach. Like that you've seen on FireLaps.
No, that he is heard at the track.
That you've heard.
Oh, okay. I don't know. David, what do you think?
Tires. My tires are old. My fronts are gone. I'm understeering everywhere. Oh, they got too many heat cycles in these tires. That's far and away, I feel like. If I'm saying anything, it's that. Usually there's some realm of truth to that. But yeah, it's a very easy excuse. I'm slow. Oh yeah, my tires.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my personal favorite because I like to run them for as long as I possibly can before I have to buy. I'm a front wheel drive guy. We buy fronts. Let's be real. Like the rears stay on the
rears to keep the rotors off the ground,
right?
And last for years and years since I've been there.
But
I mean, it's real. It's true. No, go ahead.
But normally this is what happens when I'm blaming my tires. What I really mean is I didn't adapt to the fact that I knew I put crappy tires on the car, right?
Yep.
There's a way to drive it. Will it be as fast as you can be? No, but there is a way to make it faster. If you're like, plows everywhere. Yeah, okay. Drive it a little different. Get her to rotate, That's my guilty one too, is the tires. But
I change my setup if I have 6 or more heat cycles in a set of Hoosiers because of that reason. You have to just adapt, and you can't overdrive the car. You have to drive it as it wants to be driven in that current state. Otherwise, you just make the tires even worse. I had a race a week or two ago, and there were 2 races the same day. This was at Autobahn, and my qualifying 127.8. My fast lap of the race 127.9, and towards the end, I was like, I know these tires have like the 7th heat cycle of these tires, and they're going to fall off a cliff. And then the next race, which was like an hour and a half later, I couldn't even get the car under a 130. Like they just went off a cliff, and I just fighting the car. So it is real, but it's definitely an excuse you probably hear even when people know they have fresh tires.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The stickers just came off the car.
Yeah. Exactly. I wanted to just also, for your listeners, I just want to also offer them a promo code, by the way, for FireLaps.com. If anybody is interested in giving us a try, use the promo code BlindApex very creative, but we want to support you and your podcast and your listeners. So that will give you 3 months free if you sign up for a 1-year membership with us. So get an extra 3 months on us and on the podcast, and give us your feedback. We really welcome it. support@firelaps.com. If you have thoughts or questions or anything like that, please let us know. And then also, if you go to firelaps.com and you scroll down, you'll see a nice little video, about an 8-minute video that I did, just kind of a quick run through of the platform and kind of what is where and how to get started. So I would just encourage anybody, if you're just curious, check that out and see what you think. But those would be a few little tidbits for your listeners.
Awesome. I appreciate it. I'm sure they will appreciate it. David and Daniel, it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Until next time, keep working on yourself, keep working on the car, and let's get faster.